Hello?
Director, we hear you.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Director Strom,
Yes,
you might want to mute when you're not speaking. We're getting a feedback or a dot matrix printer from 1982 in the background. Thank you, sir. We'll just give a couple more minutes for council members to log on, and then we'll get started. All right, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yes?
Yes.
All right, great.
Yep.
Rosalba, are we ready to go?
All set.
Ron, are you good to go?
I'm all set to go.
Like a rocket launch, we're checking everything. You go, green, 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 we'll go. All right, so I would like to call this Monday, January 24th, Cranston City Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Present?
Councilwoman Zuli,
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present.
Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Councilman Riley,
Here.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Present.
Council President Paplaskas.
Here, and I just note for the record, please, that Councilwoman Vargas is here. She's being let in the room right now.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. All right, I'd like to please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. It's kind of odd doing this. We don't have a flag, but we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance on Zoom. I pledge allegiance
Pledge
To the flag
of
of
the
the
United
United
States
States of America
America,
and
and
to
to the republic
republic
for
for
which
which
it stands,
stands
One
one
nation,
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
Indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
with
and
liberty
justice.
and justice
for
for
all.
all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, we will move on to dispensing with the reading of the minutes for the last two meetings. So I'll entertain a motion to dispense with the minutes from 11/22 and 12/20/21.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any discussion on those minutes? I see none. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes,
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, thank you very much. Moving on to public acknowledgements and accommodations. We have on the docket this evening citations for CLCF football and cheerleaders. This was a request of Matthew Riley, Councilman Riley. So I'm going to hand this portion of the meeting over to you, Councilman. It's a little different with, obviously we can't hand the citations out in person. I know you arranged to give them to the coaches, but if you'd like to acknowledge each team, and I think you might have the team rosters available as well. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, it's an honor to reach out and to bring these kids in. CLCF for myself as well as many kids throughout the city. It has been a staple in this community, and it's been one of the jewels of this community that makes it what it is. It has so many inclusive programs, both for boys and girls. And one of those programs that stands out the most is the CLCF Chiefs football. It's well known, a very well-run organization, and I was proud to be a parent of it this year. My daughter did cheerleading, and what they did for these kids, they really take it one step further and go above and beyond. But this year, we're recognizing 4 teams that did exceptional in representing the city of Cranston. First is the CLCF 8U football team for winning the Super Bowl state championship, the 8U 2021 Blackstone Valley ATF football Super Bowl. And those kids I want to be recognized tonight. Also, all citations, we're working it out with the coaches to have them picked up and delivered to the kids. So I just want to congratulate them. And the rosters for the 2021 8U All-American is Aiden Keenan, Brian Toby, Luke Field, Cameron Monahan, Daniel Silva, Mason Matarazzo, Evan Cordereal, Julius Valdez, Desmond Vada, Joseph Santilli, Liam Healy, J. Malik Malloy, Ryan Scavulli, Julian Ramos, Jackson Kowalczyk, Maximus Conti, Jason Hero Jr., Benjamin Biosi, Josh Ian Stevens, Adam Tonkover, Joseph Travisono, Cameron Graham, Gavin Crow DeMello, Chris Vada, David Scavulli. Oh, I'm sorry, coaches, Chris Vada, David Scavulli, Mike Monahan, and Rob Healy. Congratulations, guys. That's a tremendous job. Thank you for representing Cranston. Next, we have the 2021 11U CLCF Chiefs, who also won the state championship Super Bowl. And those players are Zion Rivas, Nolan Cheam, Cyrus Kuhn, Caden Cook, Jaden Cordereal, Joseph Garcia Jr., Lee Beausoleil, and I'm sorry if I butcher any of these names. It's No disrespect. Alexander Rodriguez, Martin Dean, Josiah Mazula, Thomas Ferry, Dion Lombard, Josu Lopez, Idapupo Genoy, Armin Avizian, Gavin Boylan, Marcel Kubali, Christian Teolis, Aiden Momplacer, Jacob Schmeruk, Anthony Ahern, Alan Correa, Wilfredo Diaz, Joseph Nunez, Logan Ribeiro, Caden Bagison, Alexander Perry, and Aiden Harrison, with coaches Mike Cook, Mark Boylan, Marcel Kulbali, Manny Romero. Thank you to the 11U team. Next, we have the 13U. This is a team that it's their final year together. They're going to be moving on to the high school. They've had a tremendous run over the years, and the coaches just couldn't say enough about these kids. This year, they completed the season with a 7-1 record and represented Cranston strongly deep into the playoffs. So we wanted to bring them out since it's their last year and recognize them as well. And those players are Lorenzo Aceto, Dominic Matera, Marcos Diaz, John Russell, Ian McGovern, Roman Duarte, Edward Soroka, Demetrius Maldonado, Maddox Harpool, Braden Forts, Michael DiFruscio, Jordan Malise, Ashton Norcliffe, Jamil Montel Rodriguez, William Ferreira, Sebastian Gall, Joel Corderale, Ethan Parent, Jonathan Hernandez, Adelino Aceto Kuhn, Jeremiah Davidson, Ryan Stoloff, Nathan DeLuz, Jameson Orlandi, Michael Nunez, Braden English, and Cameron McKenzie. And the coaches for this team are Brian Forts, Eugene Matera, Brandon Chamfon, Chris Carbone, David Maldonado, Joe Gall, and John McGovern. And last, but certainly not least, is the 12U CLCF Cheerleaders. This team went not only past the states, past the New Englands, they went all the way to the nationals, and they placed 4th in our nation. And they're from Cranston, Rhode Island. And it warms our heart that they were able to bring that back for us. And the team is Isabella Aceto, Olivia Adams, Serafino Aceto Kuhn, Cassiona Basoil, Nicolina Barboza, Gianna Dupree, Ava Couture, Ava Coran McCarthy, Mia Falcone, Francesca Iacabo, Sienna Jeremiah, Fiona Marzan, Liana Kong, Bianca Izzy, Giselle Mendez, Hazel Rivas, Samantha Pelosi, Rosalina Rusilio, Adria Stackhouse, Niliana Rodriguez, Sophia Travisono, Christina Gold, and coaches Christina Gold, Jillian Pine, and Samantha Rodriguez. So great job to all 4 teams. They did Cranston proud. And again, CLCF has been an amazing program in this city. So thank you to all the coaches and players. You did us proud. Great job.
Thank you, Councilman Riley. Let's give all of the teams from CLCF a nice big round of applause. Thank you all. You've done Cranston proud. We appreciate it. Okay, moving on to public hearings and public comment. This is the portion of the meeting where we open up the floor for public hearings. If you are on Zoom, or we're all on Zoom, raise your hand, hit the raise your hand button. And if you're on the phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. And one at a time, Mr. Lima will bring you in. Please try and limit your comments to 4 minutes or less so we give everybody an opportunity to speak. Mr. Lima, if you can bring in our first person.
No name and net born.
Hi, Annette, welcome, and name and address for the record before your testimony.
Thank you, President Popolowskis. My name is Annette Bourne. I reside at 51 Community Drive in Cranston. Thank you to the members of the City Council for allowing me the opportunity to address my concerns about ordinances 9-2101 and 9-2102 to amend the city's comprehensive plan and Chapter 17 of the zoning code to specifically benefit the parcel located at 777 Cranston Street and identified as the trolley barn in the planning staff memo dated December 3rd, 2021. I will start by asking a question of all the council members. What is your vision for Cranston? Followed by a second question, is it a vision that is equitable across all our neighborhoods? I ask this question because the ordinances before you effectively state that the vision defined for the city back in 2012 in our comprehensive plan that designated this area for special redevelopment and general industry is wrong, and that this new amended vision seems very much like a status quo change to highway commercial services and heavy business industry. And so now I would like to ask why, as changing a comprehensive plan should not be done lightly. I took a look at the census information for the tract and found the median family income of Census Tract 141 is less than 67% than that of the city as a whole. The tract is a majority minority population with nearly 58% being people of color. More than 28% of its households live below the poverty line. For those of you who don't know, the federal poverty line for a household of 3 is $21,960. The median home age is over 70 years, and nearly 33% of those who own homes are cost burdened, meaning they pay more than 30% of their income for housing, and nearly 51% of the tract's renters are similarly cost burdened. As a Cranston resident for over 17 years, who has been an active parent and engaged in our local efforts to bring improvements to our city's housing, I am deeply concerned and saddened that we would toss out the effort put in by our planning department and the public remarks that form the comprehensive plan and its vision. To quote the planning staff's memo, the project does not offer a mix of use that the staff believes was the intent of the comprehensive plan designation. It is acknowledged that there is an ordinance to amend the call for mixed use at this site, but staff finds that a mix of uses would be preferred to the uses proposed, particularly as the city is in need of housing and is running out of potential sites to incorporate achieving its housing goals, particularly near highways, bike paths, and bus routes, such as at this site. Staff finds that the proposed uses do not enhance the quality of the development nor incorporate smart growth principles as recommended by Land Use Goal 2 on page 8 and Land Use Principle 1 on page 34. Members of the City Council, we are in the midst of a statewide housing crisis, only worsened by the last nearly 2 years of a pandemic. This parcel deserves the vision that our comprehensive plan put forth. We are in dire need of housing, particularly in areas that are already served by water and sewer, on transit, and in proximity to the bike path. That is vision. What is presented as the trolley barn is rooted in the past. As the second largest city in Rhode Island, we should be seen as a leader. Cranston has not produced housing that is long-term affordable for our residents in at least 10 years. We have not availed ourselves of 3, now 4 rounds of housing bonds that our city's voters have supported. This site, and specifically the residents of Census Tract 141, deserve an equitable plan for mixed use that will bring value to their lives and neighborhood. I hope you will answer the question of what is your vision for our city with positive images across our city that meet the needs of all our residences. I urge you to vote no on these ordinances and to maintain the vision of our comprehensive plan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bourne.
Name Grace Winsky.
Hi, Grace. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, hi. My name is Grace Swinsky and I reside at 30 Sumner Avenue. I'm asking the council to vote no on the ordinance changes for 777 Cranston Street, known as the Trolley Barn area, and here is the reason why. I have lived in the brewery neighborhood all of my Cranston life, which has been about 30 years. I have driven by that spot many times and wondered, what if? When I heard there was a plan of development, I was pleased to hear and thought it would be a development to fit the comprehensive plan with mixed use, representing the history of the area and housing opportunities. What I did not think was a warehouse and duplications of businesses we already have in that area. Many of these businesses are small businesses and have stayed alive during the past 2 years of COVID and are worked by the owners. On Saturday, I walked the neighborhood around the project area to see how the residents felt about the plan. Many of the residents are concerned about additional traffic and if a viable traffic plan was done. One resident told me it took them 15 minutes to get from the light near the 7-Eleven to the light at Garfield and Cranston Street. All I spoke to were in favor of development, but not what the plan is now. The best thing about this plan is a bank, considering the people in the area have a choice of a payday lender right over the Providence line or a small branch in the Stop and Shop in the Parkade shopping area. This particular parcel is the gateway into the city of Cranston, nestled right off of Route 10 and minutes away from the now thriving Providence West End. There are areas that could be a showpiece to the state and show how Cranston took the lead to create affordable housing and interested small businesses to move into this city. I know that many young families and professionals, as well as retired people, are looking for great starter homes. When my husband and I were looking to move to Cranston, many of the areas in the city were out of our range. But you found a lovely little new build on Sumner Avenue. We're able to afford it, raise a family, and be productive in the city we call home. A no vote will give the city the opportunity to engage in creative and financial benefit dialogue and to use the best of this land. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else on Zoom that would like to be heard, please raise your hand.
Tina Brown.
Thank you, Council President. This is Christina Brown. My address is 217 Armington Street in Ward 1. I also would like to comment on Ordinance 92101 and 92102. I want to urge you to think twice about passing these ordinances to allow for changes of the comprehensive plan in the zoning code. As the city planner has already stated on page 12 of the staff memo, the city is in need of housing and is running out of potential sites to achieve its housing goals, particularly near highways, bike paths, and bus routes, such as this site. The planning staff go on to state that the gas station is not compatible use with the residential uses directly across from the fuel pumps on Cranston Street as proposed and designed. While I strongly encourage the council to work with local developers and city planners to solicit mixed-use residential development on this site, it is my belief that this parcel would be better left alone than degraded further by proposed car-centric uses. We know that we face multiple crises right now, using what little land we have left to install gas stations and bring in truck delivering gas to a site along a bike path across from a neighborhood is not only adding to air and soil pollution, it is literally moving our city backwards. If you do not support the city planners and their proposals to use this parcel to create much needed housing in the midst of an exacerbated housing crisis, with 72 children in our Cranston Public Schools identified as homeless right now, what is your vision for the future of Cranston? At this moment, we have resources at the city and state level to put forth a vision for our city that supports access to affordable housing, to create beautiful public spaces and thriving neighborhoods in each ward that will bolster our community's economic recovery. That would make Cranston a leading example of a great place to live. Do we need more gas stations? Do we need more auto zones? If you decide that that's what we need, then I ask you to identify other parcels for housing development and look at how our ARPA allocation could be used to support affordable housing development in other areas of the city. With so little buildable land, I ask that you oppose these ordinance changes and instead that you pause and work towards a vision that could be the best uses for this land. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina.
John Mancini.
Mr. Mancini, welcome. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Council President. John Mancini on behalf of the applicant. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time for me to present the application, or if you'd asked for me to wait until the ordinance, I can do that and allow more of your public residents to speak.
I think it'd be appropriate for you to wait, and that way you're on the call too, in case any council members have any questions for you.
Sure, then I'll yield my time and I'll wait for when it's appropriate to be called upon.
Thank you. Anybody else, members of the public? If you're on Zoom, or you are on Zoom, raise your hand, and we can let you into the room to speak. If not, if you're on the phone, press *9.
See no further public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Lima. At this time, I will close public comment. Since it seems that a lot of people are here for the trolley barn, I'll entertain a motion to hear the docket out of order, so that way we can hear the 2 trolley barn ordinances now.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, first up, we have 9-2101, ordinance and amendment of the 2010 comprehensive plan for the city of Cranston as amended. 2012-777 Cranston Street, petition filed by Trolley Barn Associates LLC, sponsored by myself. I'll entertain a motion for this ordinance.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Under discussion, I'm going to allow Mr. Mancini to come back in and just give us his brief presentation that he was going to give on a public comment for this. And then if any council members have questions for Mr. Mancini, now would be the time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, John Mancini on behalf of the owner and the applicant in respect to its petition before the council this evening for a zone change with regards to the property at 777 Cranston Street, Assessor's Plat 7, Lot 1. Mr. President, I also have available for answers to any questions that you may have, Dana Nisbet of Dupree Engineering, who's been our project manager and who has developed the plans that have been submitted. Also, we've submitted a report from Joe Lombardo. He is the land use expert and can provide further testimony in regards to the change to the comprehensive plan. And finally, Paul Bannon from Beta Engineering, who provided an extensive traffic report. As you may know, this is not the beginning of the process, but rather this is one of the stops that the applicant has to take in regards to obtaining a major land development approval, which is what's before you. This was submitted to the City Council and then remitted to the Planning Board for review. And the Planning Board went through this project very thorough with several technical review committee meetings, as well as a meeting with the Planning Commission. As a result, you have the staff report, which has been submitted. And the staff, importantly, did make a positive recommendation for a master plan approval, along with a positive recommendation with regards to the zone change and also with an amendment to the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission approved the project at its last meeting and granted master plan approval. And then we proceeded to the Ordinance Committee. And what we're doing here is we're developing and building upon a parcel that is part of an overall development. It's part of the Narragansett Brewery site. And as many of you, the council members are aware, the Narragansett Brewery site was developed as a mixed-use development under a special designation back in 1998. And what remained was this parcel. This parcel had an old trolley barn on it, which unfortunately was demolished due to the fact that it had become decayed. And the property has remained vacant for decades now. And fortunate today, we now have a proposal for a development. What's important to note is that this area is zoned M2. And as you are aware, M2 is the highest, most intense industrial use that you can have in the city. Warehousing, as we're proposing right now, is permitted by right. So we don't need any type of variance or any type of specific relief in order for us to accomplish the wholesale warehouse proposal. The reason that we're changing the zone from an M2 to a C5 is because it's more conducive with respect to the heavy commercial uses already existing on Cranston Street, i.e. the proposed gas station, proposed restaurant, proposed bank, and other similar uses that come along with the C5 zone. You also are aware of the fact that across the street from this parcel, as has been noted by some of the residents who got the opportunity to speak earlier, is residential houses. Those residential houses are existing as what's known as a non-conforming use. And what that means is that the underlying zoning where those houses are located is M2. M2 does not permit residential. So they are essentially there in an area that no longer services them or no longer provides for them. And what the applicant is proposing to do here is take an existing permitted use in an M2, which is the warehouse, add retail commercial to it by changing that zone to C5, and then adding the complementary or other associated uses that are part of this development. We think these uses are in synergy with respect to the surrounding area. We think these uses are consistent with the property, consistent with Cranston Street. The property is a unique property because it's bordered by a railroad track. It's bordered by the city of Providence, and it has easy access to Route 10. Now, I understand that having heard some of the comments with regards to affordable housing, in regards to housing overall, I think that's very important. I can say that with two aspects in mind. One, as a resident of the city of Cranston and as a resident of the state, I understand and acknowledge the need for housing. And as a developer and as a council for developers, we do a lot of residential development where it makes sense. And unfortunately, this is not a location which makes sense for housing. First and foremost, your comprehensive plan doesn't call for housing, doesn't provide housing here, and your underlying zoning doesn't provide housing. So we're not changing a parcel that would otherwise be conducive for housing or a parcel that would otherwise be part of your housing stock and eliminating that, because as it stands now, it's not part of your housing stock. And when you look at developing housing, you also have to look at doing it in a manner that's balanced with commercial. And I know as a council member, you have to balance out the housing aspect with your budget. And this is a parcel that is laid dormant for many decades, not producing tax revenues and not producing employment. What we're proposing here is something that will revitalize this parcel and also seek to revitalize area around it. It will provide for tax revenues and it will provide for jobs. Important to note with regards to the auto zone, the auto zone warehousing, as you are very much aware, much of what has taken place since the pandemic has been a change in the habits of consumers. Warehousing has become a bigger staple, if you will, than has retail. So this addresses that issue. And this auto zone warehouse will be the only one in the state, and it will be a central piece for the state of Rhode Island. And I think it's a feather in the cap of Cranston, if you will, that it's chosen this location. And it's chosen this location because it's not in the center of a residential area. It's in the center of easy access to a major artery, which is Route 10. And also visibility from Route 10 is also something that has been positive and conducive for this auto zone. So what we're asking of the council this evening is to change this existing industrial M2 zone to C5, which would essentially allow the retail aspect of auto zone in conjunction with the warehouse, which is already permitted. We're asking that that C5 change will allow for other C5 uses along this parcel in conjunction with the warehouse. What may take place across the street is something that may happen down the line. It may either be C5 or it may be residential. Although given the dynamics of this parcel, again, we think that residential is not conducive. And for that reason, it has never been proposed for this parcel. It's not part of what is before you. And frankly, I think it would be very difficult for this board to deny this zone change for something that's not before it. I mean, we're not changing a residential parcel to commercial. We're changing a heavy industrial parcel from heavy industrial to commercial. With respect to traffic, Mr. President, we've had an opportunity to present to the board a traffic report prepared by Bader Engineering. As I noted, the planning board did go through that report. That report was also reviewed by the city of Providence. And in conjunction with the city of Providence, we've had some detailed discussions concerning the bike path. And we've come into agreement with the city in providing them access to this parcel in order to connect the bike path so as to show some synergy between this development, between the city of Cranston and the city of Providence with regards to the bike path. And we're committed to working with both Cranston and Providence in effectuating that bike path. Finally, in conjunction with the planning board and in conjunction with your staff at planning, we've also conducted a peer review of the traffic report. That peer review was done by Fuss & O'Neill. And Fuss & O'Neill concluded with our traffic expert, Bader Engineering, that there will be no material impact with respect to traffic on this site. One of the other elements that was discussed was the configuration of the gas pumps with the retail, and we're amenable to working with that with planning. And finally, Mr. President, as you know, this, as I stated earlier on, this is not the end of the stop, but rather the middle of the stop, because following this, we still have to obtain preliminary plan and final plan approval by the Planning Commission. And at preliminary plan approval, that's where we go into engineering details with the planning board and specifications with regards to our designs. It's when we really see the buildings, the elevations of the buildings, and at that point, we will get into detail with the planning board and with all of the staff. But prior to this point, we've also had the opportunity to submit these plans to various departments of the city, all of which have reviewed them, all of which have had positive comments with regards to our plans. We believe that this is a good use for this site. It's a well thought out use. It's a well engineered use. It's a use that's compatible with the area. It's a use that's compatible with traffic. And it's a use that will not be obtrusive with respect to the overall design, the overall vision. Finally, Mr. President, with regards to vision, I think that having this parcel developed and having this parcel be productive again for the city is always positive. Again, it's one of the remaining commercial pieces that you have along that corridor that needs to be finished with respect to development. And this, again, is the final piece of the overall Narragansett Brewery site that will become developed. So with that, Mr. President, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that board members may have. And also, please, if you wish to hear from our experts, they're available to, again, contribute more information to you. This project has been thoroughly vetted. It has been exhaustively reviewed and with mountains of information that we're willing to share with you and prepared to do so. So thank you, Mr. President. Again, any questions, please, we're prepared to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Appreciate the presentation. At this time, are there any questions for Mr. Mancini or any of his experts or colleagues that he brought? Do you have any questions for them? I see none.
Council President, if you don't mind.
Councilmember Rose.
Thank you. Mr. Mancini, good evening. I know you kind of touched base upon, and this is just a general question, the tax revenue stream on this possible location. Do we know at all what the possible overall tax revenue stream would look like
for that specific location to the city of Cranston?
Thank you, Councilwoman. We do not know the exact numbers yet, but I can give you some basic estimations. And if you look at the AutoZone building itself, which is going to be approximately 28,000 square feet of warehouse, 7,000 square feet of retail. That building alone, based on what the numbers will be once it's built, will generate some significant tax revenue in and of itself. And I'm not going to throw the numbers out because I don't want your tax assessor to hold me to those numbers just yet. But that alone will be significant. Add that to the 3 smaller so-called pad sites of 5,000 square feet for retail, another 2,500 square feet of fast food, and roughly 4,000 square feet for bank or other C5 use. All of that will be added to your tax base. And then in addition to that, I know AutoZone will have 20 full-time employees as part of that. So that will again add to your base. You're certainly going to get a bang for your dollar here because you're going to spend less, put it this way, you're going to receive more money than you're going to spend towards services towards this development. And usually that's the benefit of commercial. And the reason why any city is always looking to increase its commercial base, doing so in a reasonable manner and doing so in a logical location. To us, this is a logical location for commercial. We think it's a better use than M2 industrial. And industrial, really, when you look at the uses permitted in an industrial zone, they're not generators of high revenue. And manufacturing industrial has become less and less, unfortunately, but it's been that gap has been filled in by these types of developments.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Any other questions, Councilmember Vargas?
Not for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Jermaine?
Thank you, Council President. I have a question, a clarification I really need from Mr. Mentioning. I remember when I went to the visit of the parcel, is that the line of railroad goes right in the course, its border with the railroad, right, or not?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand that. I think you were fading in and out.
The railroad where the train goes, right? I know there is a railroad right in the area.
Yes, that's correct.
Is
Yeah.
is that where it's borders the parcel? I want to make sure if I remember that.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So, and I have to add, that's one of the reasons that makes this parcel unique, is that it's bordered by the railroad track. It's bordered by Cranston Street, and then it's within a stone throw of Route 10. And given that situation, if you will, or that scenario, it makes it conducive for warehouse. It makes it conducive for commercial. And for those reasons, I believe that this parcel is never earmarked for residential. It makes it very difficult to try to get a developer to develop multifamily or even single family in an area so close to train tracks, in an area so close to an on and off ramp, in an area close to a highway. So again, these uses have been chosen because it's conducive for that area. And I think because of the railroad tracks and because of some of the other dynamics that I've mentioned regarding this parcel, that it's laid dormant for so long. It's unusual for a parcel of almost 7 acres in this area to not be developed for over 20 years. Again, as I noted, in 1998, the Narragansett Brewery site was developed. So when you look over to Garfield Avenue and you see Lowe's, you see Texas Roadhouse, you see Stop and Shop, and you see what used to be Kmart and now has morphed into a fitness center, into Burlington Coat Factory. That was all developed in 1998. Then it kind of morphed into the police station, and it never made over the hump onto the other side of Cranston Street. And now we've been able to do that and to come back before you with this proposal.
Okay, thank you. My other question, is there also, I think there is a garage right in the back or south, something like that, that borders as well, right across the railroad track. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. So that's what that's the qualification I wanted to have, because I want to make sure what I noticed that was correct, because it was a little late when I went to visit. So I want to make sure that was correct. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Any other questions for Mr. Mancini from council members? There being none, we have a motion on the floor to motion.
Council President,
Yes,
I have a question. Do we have any representative of planning department here?
I'm not sure.
I have a question for them.
To the administration, is there any member
Yes,
of the planning department here?
yes.
Mr. Moretti or Mr. Paiva?
I'm not aware of them being on. I'm not sure they were requested, so as you know, it's pretty much their own entity, and I was not advised that they were here or not here.
I do not see anyone from the planning department, council member Jermaine, on the Zoom call at this time.
I don't know. I'm gonna ask the question anyway, if anyone can give me some clarification. When Mr. Mancini was talking, he talks about not requesting a change, like for a residential to a commercial. So that's what he says. And I want to have a really clarification from department, planning department, about that. When he talks about MC, heavy industrial, it's like the designation of this area was a heavy industrial, and he wanted to transform it to commercial. So he said that is not a change from residential to commercial. So anyone can answer that question. I wanted to be clear about that.
Thank you, council member. I'm not sure if the administration can clarify that. I thought when I had looked at it, it was zoned industrial and changing it to commercial, but I'm not a member of the planning board, so I can't say for sure.
That's why, Council President, I want to make sure what I was understanding, if I'm really in the right, because I'm not an expert. I really want to know if there is a violation in that recommendation, because if it was residential to commercial or industrial to commercial, where is the gap?
Right. Thank you. Okay, any other questions from council members? Council woman Renzulli.
I think you did. Was Councilman Donegan trying to talk too?
Oh, sorry, Councilmember Donegan. It doesn't matter to me who goes first.
It's Councilman Donegan's ward. I'll yield my time for him to go first.
Councilman Donegan, I didn't even see your hand up. The floor is yours.
That's all right. And thank you, Councilwoman. I appreciate that. I'll try and be brief. I have some quick remarks. Initially, I was excited when I heard of this proposal, or that something was going to be proposed there. I feel strongly for the need for economic development in Eastern Cranston, especially this part of the city, being in the ward that I represent. But I feel even stronger that development should address the needs of our community, and I don't believe that this project will accomplish that. This parcel, it offers an opportunity to address the city's housing crisis. As a city, we're failing to match our statutory requirement for low and moderate income housing. State law requires that we get to 10% of our housing stock be low to moderate income, and we stand at under 5.5%, which is roughly 1,500 homes short each year. According to conversations I've had, and based on my, time on the council, I don't believe we've added any units in almost a decade, or if not longer than a decade. And that's not okay. Families in our city are increasingly being squeezed out of their homes due to increasing housing prices. And based on the 2021 fact book from Housing Works Rhode Island out of Roger Williams University, almost 30% of homeowners in the city and 48% of renters in the city are cost burdened, which means that they spend more than a third of their annual income or of their income on housing costs. I think it was Christina also mentioned, and that as reported in Rhode Island Kids Count statistics from this year, 72 children within the Cranston public school system were identified as being houseless. We need to do better. They deserve better. And if that's 72 that have been identified, God knows how many more there are. All right. In addition to those 72 children homeless or houseless in our city right now, you throw a rock from this proposed, from this parcel, and you'll find numerous housing encampments under a bridge behind the old train tracks. There's a crisis in our city and we need to address it. Housing is a human right, and this parcel offers an opportunity to build towards that goal. As noted in the planning department's memo, which I acknowledge received a positive recommendation, it states that staff finds that a mix of uses would be preferred to the use proposed, particularly as the city is in need of housing and is running out of potential sites to incorporate and achieve its housing goals, particularly near 13 highways, bike paths, and bus routes, such as this site. And just as a clarification, the comprehensive plan recommends mixed use here. Mixed use includes residential, mixed use includes housing. Let's be very clear about that. To say that this change with the recommendation of mixed use would still not lead to housing, that's inaccurate. It recommends for mixed use. That is having housing here or a mixed use of housing and commercial is in parallel with what is recommended in our comprehensive plan. What we should do as a city is work with organizations like Rhode Island Housing, our economic development, community development, and obviously the owners of the parcel to make that happen. I know we have a shared goal. The owner of the parcel, Mr. Paolino, had a published column in the Providence Journal just over a month or so ago, stating that, in order to alleviate the housing crisis in Providence, we need to build more housing. Well, we have a crisis here in Cranston. This is a property he owns, and we should build towards that and work collaboratively together. Additionally, development should help build a healthier community. It should address issues within our community and improve them. Census Tract 141, where this project is proposed, has residents with higher levels of heart disease, diabetes, and obesity than we see in the rest of the city. Adding another fast food restaurant is going to perpetuate those issues that already exist. We should prioritize increasing access to healthier foods, not more fast food chains. We also need to get away from auto-centric planning. Climate change isn't going anywhere. We're stuck with it. And to be honest, I'm slightly baffled that this parcel is going to have 3 different drive-throughs, a 28,000 square foot distribution center, which is going to impact air quality for the surrounding residents. Not to mention that, decades ago, an interstate was put through that community. As the planning memo points out, there's no sustainability or green energy aspects of this proposal. Development shouldn't exacerbate health inequities. I believe it's in my opinion that this proposal will do just that. Development is a good thing, but as I've said, I believe it should run parallel with the needs of our community, and I don't believe that this project will do this. I think that we should take this advantage of this opportunity that this parcel provides to us to build housing and to address our city's mounting housing crisis. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember Donegan. I'm going to try to stick to the proposal here a little bit. Kind of went off a little bit on a tangent there, but I let it go. Councilmember Renzulli, you had your hand up next.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to start off by saying I do agree, with the people I've already spoke who said that we do need more housing in our city, but there is a point to that. Moving from M2 to C5 is just a couple of rings down the ladder in zoning, but you're moving several more down to get to housing. So I'm just a little confused as to why, we're going there, but I'm not going to go too far into that. Something that I read from the Plan Commission that kind of, struck me was that also in regards to housing, that if I'm incorrect, someone please correct me, that Robert Coop, who is on Planning Commission, is the head of Cranston Housing. So if this was better designed to be housing, I would hope that Mr. Coop would not, make the motion to send a positive recommendation for how we're rezoning this area and the use of the land. That's just an observation that I wanted to point out. And also highlighted, I highlighted within this, is that positive and negative findings must be weighed. The staff believes that the positives of the project outweigh the negatives. The project is not perfect, but perfect is not the standard of approval. The city should not design the proposal based on aspirations of uses on the site that have not generated interest from the private sector in decades, nor should they not approve the proposal based on the grounds that less ideal uses could potentially be conceived. So while housing, we do need it, if the developer doesn't want to put it there, I don't think that we're voting on making them do that. So that's all. I just had a couple comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Renzulli. Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, I had looked over the proposal, and like any economic development in the city, which we deal with a lot in my ward. In Ward 6, we have Garden City, Chapel View, we have it all. And we bear the burden of that. And that brings a lot of tax base that goes throughout the entire city, but it's on our backs. It would be nice to be able to go up to every parcel and say, look, I imagine that this should go here. Unfortunately, that's not. This lot has sat there vacant for decades. The opportunity has been there for decades. Now we have someone who has looked into it, wants to invest money in our city, provide jobs so that people can work their way up and not need housing in manufacturing districts. So I don't see any other proposals in front of us. We haven't seen any in decades. I say, being that it is the gateway to Cranston, we don't want dilapidated lots as people enter the city. If someone's willing to come in and take a chance on Cranston, I say go for it. So I do applaud them. Maybe I would do something different. Maybe you would do something different. But no one in decades has come and stepped up to the table like they have. So I feel Cranston's open for business, and I think I wish them best of luck.
Thank you, Councilmember Riley. Councilmember Marino.
Thank you, Council President. Just want to say that this vote tonight's not going to come easy for me. I did avail myself of the opportunity of the walkthrough of the site with the Plan Commission, although they didn't have a quorum, but I believe we did. We did the walkthrough. In addition, I attended a couple of the Plan Commission meetings in person to get some more insight on this proposal. There's no question that there's a housing crisis. It's statewide. As a city, we need to do more. I'm just not convinced that this location is the right fit for that. It is a commercial area. It's right next to a highway. I understand there's arguments on both sides of that. And I'm looking at this proposal as being an improvement to the area and bringing more revenue to us as a city that I think that I'd like to see us take advantage of. I am hoping that, I know the comprehensive plan overhaul takes a long time, but I'm hoping that as a city and with the ARPA funds that we can be creative and find areas available in the city in which might be more conducive to the housing issue. I just don't think that I'm inclined to vote this down on that basis, because I do think that this is an enhancement to the area. I will just add this, with respect to the area being near the highway, I've been pleased in the meetings to hear that the developer is considering extending the bike path, putting some park-like areas perhaps in that area. And I hope that does come to fruition. Like I said, I do think that there are some positive impacts to this proposal. And I just don't see the residential being a viable option in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Any other comments from council members? Council member Jermaine.
Thank you, Council President. When this proposal came to committee and I voted for it, I voted for the change for a reason. I'm someone that really invests into housing. I want to see more housing. I want to see equity. I want to see equality. But if you want to give housing to people that live in this area, I don't think you want to give housing where the children will hear a train all day and cars going back and forth for all days. I don't think that's the quality we want to offer. So I feel bad because before the committee, okay, I understand now we have many people who comes forward. I would have preferred that a lot of people came forward before the committee and we can make our mind. But I don't think that will change my mind, because I will not grant housing where people gonna be, that's the pattern for poor neighborhood. So we have more housing, people over like sardines, right? That's what we want. So we want them, they cannot have a big yard to play. They cannot have a little, so we give them what they deserve. That's why. No, I think we need to better plan. The city has to do a better job to plan what kind of Cranston we want. When we talk about equity, equality, so we know we need housing, but this particular space, I don't think it's fit, because it's not healthy for whoever would think that's gonna win in this parcel. The poor people that cannot offer the better air quality, because this is an industrial area in a highway. So you're gonna have 3 buildings, 3 floors, and you put people over and over. That's what can offer. So is this what we want in the city? I don't think so. So I understand the need. I'm frustrating as well. We need more housing. But I don't think I can offer this kind of housing to people in Ward 2 or whatever ward it is. If you remember last time, we have a developer that came with a proposal for housing. And I vote for it. I vote yes, because we need more housing. We need, when people, like I said, people are growing. We have a demographic. After the census, we have more people. And someone who is to live in the 3 bedrooms, in the 4 bedrooms right now. So we need more housing where we have more space and people can have fresh air, a little, backyard, flowers. So if we ask this developer, oh, I want you to do housing, why don't we do it for other developers as well? So I don't think whether we want it, so we cannot be fooled, okay? We cannot let our emotion get over us. See, I cannot tell the developer this is what you should do. And at the same time, this is not good for the people who will rent it. It's not good. Because someone who will live there, that's the poor people that cannot afford something in West Cranston. So we give something that they can afford. With noises, noises, that's another thing. People complain for Worcester, right? Noises. And then you're gonna put a house right there when you have kids that have 24/7 and then cause 24/7. Excuse me? Okay. So for those reasons, I would not grant my vote for housing because our people who are poor, they deserve better. They deserve better. Housing in that corner, let be clear. I know we all passionate about having more housing. We have our people under the bridge. I know it. I share this sentiment. But at the same time, open our eyes. What we want to offer is not a band-aid. Okay, we cannot put a band-aid on the wound. We need to cure it. Find the medication. Alcohol, clean it to heal. But we cannot put a band-aid without cleaning it. So ask the developer to put housing there, it's a band-aid. But I don't want to use that strategy. So I know all of you who are listening there, I respect your position. John is your word, I respect you. I know how you are passionate about housing. I understand, but this part you may not see it or how I see it. Me, as a Black person, whether we share the same values or so many things, the thing you can't see that I see, I'm telling you, I know your passion for more housing. I am too. But we cannot tell people to go live there in this parcel. Maybe you didn't see it because this is not healthy for them. And that's one of the reasons when I asked the counselor to make sure if the railroad track is right at the bottom. I want to make sure that was one of the reasons. The second reason is we cannot pick where we want, whether it's west or east. So I still not feeling well about the vote turn down this housing developer in Wisconsin. I can say it. I vote for this change because we need to be consistent with our values, what we say. So I will vote yes because this parcel I've been there. I've been here in the United States for 12 years now. The first time I came, I was living right at Harry Street. That's where I live when I first came here. This parcel was vacant 12 years later. So I've been here for 12 years. It was vacant. So I think having someone who wants to develop, bringing jobs, we need that. I'm sorry for the other inconvenience that will bring as well. But we know we cannot have everything. We cannot be perfect. So that's life. But I would like to see the gas station go away. So that's what I would like to see. But if I am consistent, I cannot tell a business person, this is what you should. I have to have the laws that will tell me, based on the law, you cannot do this there. So if it's a commercial along the side, right after the light, it's the same line, before, after. So it is a hard decision. I'm sorry for those of you if I disappointed you, but I vote on my value. What I think it's right. Because I think having a housing there is not what we want for our people there in this particular parcel, because that's not gonna give them air quality. Okay? That's not gonna be healthy for children. The noises. Maybe you didn't see it. Some of you didn't think about that, but that's why we can, different perspective, we can see. Where you miss something, if I can help you to see it. So that's why I will vote yes on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Ferry.
Okay.
You're on mute, Councilmember Ferry.
Thank you, sorry. I grew up just 6 blocks down the street in Providence, and I know that area very well. And I too do agree it is probably not the best spot for housing. However, facing the reality and the need for housing, it would be said that it should be shame on us if we're sitting here a year from now and we haven't addressed this problem seriously and taken the steps to do that. So at this time, I would not be able to vote against this as it stands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments from council members? There being none, I'll just say that I'll be voting for this evening. This parcel has been vacant since they tore down the trolley barn, and then it was decades before that it wasn't used for anything. It was zoned industrial. So I think changing it to commercial is still, in line with that. And I do agree that we need to do something about affordable housing in the city, but this isn't the right spot. This project will bring jobs and it'll increase the commercial tax base, which will in turn help the burden on the residential tax base. So I will be voting for this tonight. Councilmember Vargas, I see your hand up.
Yes, good evening. So as many of the council members have mentioned, or at least one of the council members also, actually a few have said, it's a very, for me, it's trying to put my emotions aside. But the way I see it is the positive of obviously having a parcel that will no longer be empty, that will generate a tax revenue for the city, particularly in this pandemic. However, on the other side, also with this pandemic, and as we've been seeing nationally and across the state, is that there's a housing pandemic crisis, I should say, happening to take place at the same time. I am not, I'm not against businesses, development of businesses, and depending obviously on the type of case that it is. But at the very same time, and I'm not against like AutoZone or whatever the case will be going there, as we can see. But would I love to see other type of retail business or possibly different type of restaurants? Absolutely. But I believe the owner of that parcel is, we as a city may have some sort of say to an extent that if I want to paint my front door from blue to green as a city, it's my property. We shouldn't be able to tell them what to do. to tell the resident owner how to paint the color of their door. It's their property. In this case, a developer, it's his, I believe, yeah, Mr. Pelino's property. And I am very, very mindful of housing. It's been very similar to what was said. Living, even growing up in affordable housing, limiting housing is extremely important in our city. I think we can all agree that there's definitely an issue in our state and here in our city about the affordability of apartments, affordability of owning a home. But I'm also very mindful of the health risk that highways also bring, and the pollution and so forth to where the houses are going to be developed. While housing, I'd love for us to continue to be proactive in the housing board that we have, to continue to seek ways in collaboration with the city and developers that are coming in hopes of continuing to advocate for the housing, not only affordability, but development of it is definitely a need. It's crucial. However, echoing the sentiments of some of my colleagues as well, if you look at this particular site itself, where yes, we have a nice river, but we also have a train track going right on there. We see houses, apartments being built right near highways all the time. There's houses that look at the parcel right near it. There's obviously the highway goes right through it. So bottom line is, in my case, while I'm a huge proponent on housing, in this case, and this I just don't think that this is the right parcel to build these type of houses that we actually want. And I really have I've had a tough time with this subject matter coming before us this evening, because I want to see more housing, more affordable housing as well, not just regular houses that being developed, but affordable housing in our city. It's been an ongoing conversation that we've all had as we see developers coming before us. We definitely need to have that conversation and keep the momentum going and figure really out and working with, yes, Rhode Island Housing Works, and the release of the recent reports on housing is extremely obviously important. It definitely has a soft spot in my heart, and I will be advocating for housing, but I'm also trying to be very realistic when I look at the parcel. Where are we going? We have room, it's 7 acres. I understand that, but there's a train track, there's a highway, there's a police station across the street, there's gas stations around it. And yeah, the noise control is big. I mean, you can I live off of Broad Street. So I hear stuff going on, never mind that actual location. So I'll be voting against this, and it's not because I don't believe in housing. And sorry, I'll be voting in favor of this. And it's not because I don't believe in housing, and it's not because I don't believe that that we should increase affordability in having additional houses being built in our city. But this particular parcel, is just not the right fit for this in terms of it. So yes, we need an equitable plan, and very much as what Ms. Bourne had mentioned, I agree with you, Ms. Bourne, on this, who's a constituent of Ward 1 as well. But this particular parcel is just not the right place to do affordable or just housing in general in that area. I don't want to see houses be built and just have children or so forth, take away all everything that's around it. It's just not, I need to be built in a healthy environment at the same time. So anyway, long story short, I'll be supporting this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vargas. Any other comments from council members that haven't spoke on this topic yet? Councilmember Campopiano.
Yes, everyone on the council and the public made excellent points tonight. And I've given this a lot of thought. And Councilman Donegan made some very good points, but so does Councilwoman Jermaine. All excellent points. And I will be voting for this tonight. Because first of all, the question before us isn't to go from M2 from M2 to affordable housing. The question is to go from M2 to C5, I think it is. And also because of the mixed use that they're proposing, there's all levels of employment here. We got employment from entry-level jobs all the way up to bank jobs. So people could walk to work in this area. People can get a bus to go to work in this area. It should help in that way just for employment. So for those reasons, we vote yes.
Thank you, Council Member Campopiano. That being said, I think everybody has had an opportunity to speak on this, so I will call the roll. Madam Clerk, please take the roll on 9-21-01.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
No.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council
That's a
Vice
yes.
President-
He
Council Vice
he doesn't have a
President
screen on. I thought we couldn't vote if we didn't have our screen on.
My apologies, Mr.
right.
Ferry. That's a yes.
Oh. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, thank you. Motion passes. Next, we have 9-2102, ordinance amendment of chapter 17, the Code of City of Cranston, 2005, entitled zoning, change of zone, 777 Cranston Street, petition filed by Trolley Bond Associates LLC. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we just had discussion on this. Any other comments? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
No.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, motion carries. Since we took the docket out of order and there's only two more items left for the ordinance committee, I'd like to just stay here and finish up this part of the docket. Councilmember Riley, do you mind introducing the next item on the ordinance committee?
Sure. That is ordinance 12-21-01, entitled Motor Vehicle and Traffic, One-Way Traffic on Certain Streets, Eden Park Drive, northerly from Aqueduct Road, sponsored by Councilwoman Jermaine. This did pass the ordinance committee, and I'm urging passage tonight. Thank you.
Okay, there was I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Motion to
entertain a
approve.
motion.
Oh, I got it.
Motion.
We have a motion to
Second.
approve. And
Motion to approve.
And second.
we have a motion and a second. Thank you. Under discussion, any questions or comments on 12-21-01? There being none, I do see there is a traffic report here. Councilmember Jermaine?
Yes, Council President, thank you so much. So this ordinance, as we talk about it on the committee, it will be a life-saving for residents in Eden Park Drive. They've been asking for over a decade for help, and today it's before you. So I urge you to really vote for it, and the Department of Public Works can take notice and do the work as soon as possible. So that's why I really urge you again to pass this ordinance to this evening, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other questions or comments? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, Councilmember Riley, before you read the next one, I'm going to ask if a motion to continue this to the next full council meeting can be made so we can give one more month for a traffic report.
Motion to continue.
Second.
Councilman Riley, do you want to just introduce that real quick?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. That's ordinance 12-21-02, motor vehicles and traffic on Tabor Street, sponsored by Council President Paplaskas. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to continue to next month.
Second,
Any discussion?
Any discussion on the motion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilor Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And just to those watching at home on YouTube or Zoom, statutorily, we're supposed to give the traffic engineer up to 60 days to write a traffic report, and we haven't come to that 60 days yet. That's why I had asked to continue it one more month. So hopefully we have that next month, and we can take action on it with or without it. Okay, moving back to the beginning of the docket, we have one resolution. It's a resolution, American Rescue Plan Act funds, engagement of a polling company to solicit and engage input by Cranston citizens, sponsored by Mayor Hopkins. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and just before I go to the Mr. Moretti to explain this, just a little background for everyone on Zoom or YouTube. We do have opera meetings coming up. First one very soon, this week on Thursday. And what we're trying to do is solicit the most amount of input from the public that we can. Through meetings, through a survey that a couple of council members are working on with our budget analysts, and through polling. I think it's important that we try to get as much engagement from the public from all means possible. That's why this is in front of us this evening. Mr. Moretti, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Mr. Riley,
Hey,
can you put your microphone. Thank you. Director Moretti, the floor is yours to introduce this.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, in the background, a dog that we're just trying to adopt from the shelter just began to act up. So if it's overly disruptive, I'll go in the garage. So please let me know if it does become a distraction, okay? This resolution was basically a follow-up requesting approval to for the use of some of the ARPA funds. We discussed it a couple of months ago, speaking about workshops. Obviously, the mayor is in full support of the council's efforts of soliciting as much input as possible from the citizenry. We had mentioned at that point that we thought another good vehicle for soliciting input would be a statistical poll to contract a polling agency. I think at that point there was pretty good feedback from the council members, and appeared that to be a consensus of support with the objective of the statistical poll in order to outreach and measure the opinions of the residents collectively in the city of Cranston. That would enable us to seek input from residents that are not aware of the local political issues, who don't typically are those who typically are not necessarily engaged in these meetings. So I think it provides that opportunity to do that. And also those people who, for whatever reasons, don't participate online. In this way, I think we can get a good cross-section of all areas and demographics of the city. We feel the timing of this fits well into the council's objectives. I know that you wish to bring things to a good point sometime in February or at the end of February. And by approving these funds, we hope to have the poll completed coincidentally and concurrently with the efforts of the city council. And then we consider this poll to be an effort of the city council. So it's one city trying to just obtain as much input and feedback from as many residents as we possibly can. But we see this as another vehicle for doing that. So again, the overall objective is to gain timely input from the residents into the ARPA process. Obviously, it's a one-off event, and by this type of solicitation, we would be receiving input from. We believe we're receiving measurable input from all residents of all demographics of the city. So we ask your approval for the deployment of these funds.
Thank you, Director Moretti. At this point, we have a motion and a second before us. I'll open it up for any questions or comments from council members. And just try and stick the comments directly related to the polling and the resolution if possible. Council Member Ferry.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Director Moretti, for putting this resolution forth. I have a couple of questions, and the first would be, how will we, because you said we, meaning administration and council, decide which company will get chosen to do this poll? Do you want to answer that question first before I ask my next question?
Sure. In the form of an RFP to be solicited to the industry, if you will, and if there's any known any known polling agencies that are in the business of so doing, we could reach out to them. That's we think that'd be the fairest way of determining the polling agency.
So will we be considering more than one company?
We hope to. That's what the outreach is about through the RFP process. We can't guarantee. You can't guarantee the respondents, though.
All right. How will you choose the questions that will be asked, and what will be the means of distribution for the questions?
I hope that we collectively, being the city, are not the ones developing the questions. I think we're best off having the polling professionals do that and the polling agencies. I think certainly we want to reach out to them to tell them our objectives topically. Certainly, reaching out within the various aspects of the facets of the intentions of the ARPA funds. And hopefully the polling firm selected would have some experience in that. But I don't think there's any intentions for us being the city to develop the questions, because I think we should leave it more objectively to the professional polling firm.
So if we leave the questions up to the polling firm, will we have any say after we take a look at them?
Sure.
And will the council have access to that before it's approved?
Before
we approve before the questions are approved, will the council have access to, like, seeing the questions? Because
I don't see a problem with that. The only thing I would think, hopefully collectively, we don't want to influence the formulation of the questions. Then I think it might distort the poll. I'm not sure. I'm not a professional pollster, but we don't want to do anything to skew the results. So, but in terms of seeing the questions, sure.
Okay. And what will be the distribution of, how will the questions be distributed? Will they be done by telephone? Will they be done by internet, email?
The posters, from frankly past past interactions with some polling organizations, not necessarily on this topic, but also inquiring about this. Most of the polling for this is done via landline or cell phone. But again, happy to leave that to the professional polling firm to determine the most representative samples.
I personally have a landline and I get a lot of pollsters, so I'm just, sometimes I think that only people my age have landlines. So I always in my mind question polls that only do that, okay? Just for that reason. My last question is, what demographic data will be taken to ensure accurate results? Because it is important that the demographics are properly weighted. So, I mean, I really think we need to make sure that the demographics are properly weighted. So we're going to make every effort to see that accomplished.
Sure, that exactly. We're on the same wavelength, 100%. And obviously, we want to get an independent firm doing what they believe, and that they be knowledgeable and proficient at their business, and that's all we're trying to seek. We're not looking to skew any results by any means.
Okay, and my last point is, I do feel that $25,000 is a little bit higher than we had all anticipated it would be. So, I mean, I am kind of opposed to that being the cap, so I'd like to see it lower. So I would just like to throw that out there. I think that $25,000 is a lot of money, and I think it just might be a little higher than we had anticipated what it would have been.
If I could just speak to that number, I don't know what the number is going to be, but I think it's most important to have in the administration, the mayor does, to have a representative poll that's worth the money. Now, that number, we don't know what the number is going to come in at. Hopefully it's going to be $10,000, $15,000. We don't know, but if it comes in $1 above whatever limit you allow us, then we have to recalibrate and begin the process. I think the end result is going to be the most important thing, to get a good unbiased poll, and I think it'd be money well spent. Not that it's going to be $25,000. Hopefully it's going to be much less than that. But we just want to allow that flexibility instead of spending months dealing with the approval process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, council member. I'm going to go in order of hands up. Director Strom, your hand was up first.
Yes, can you hear me, Councilman?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. A couple of things that I just want to add on to what Chief of Staff Moretti mentioned. We're doing an RFP. The due date is February 1st. It'll go before BOCAP. Right now, we have 6 polling professional companies that we've submitted the RFP to. We don't know at this time who's going to respond back. It is also been advertised, so it could be even more. But we're trying to get a fair number of people to respond to this. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that the ARPA funds allows you to use 10% of the funds for administrative expenses. Obviously, that would be for the first 21 million. It would be 2.1 million. Obviously, that's not something that we would consider at 10% for anything, but it does allow you that based on the ARPA regulations. And so putting in 25,000, that was just a nominal figure, just so we would have some dollar figure for the cost of doing this poll. As Mr. Moretti said, it could be 5,000, 10 or 15. We don't know at this time, but when you have a selection of 6 or more pollsters, we may be able to get a very good price to do this type of research.
Thank you, Director Strom. Council member Renzulli.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the administration bringing this forward. I think the meetings, along with a survey we're going to put out through the council, which will, probably gear towards people with access to technology and maybe a younger crowd. I think a poll, which is going to be calling people on a landline, as Mr. Ferry already said, could attract, the answers from an older crowd, and then we're going to get the most people possible to answer our questions. So I would say that this is a great idea. I too would hope that we, can get the best bang for our buck, and I would like to be added as a sponsor to this if I could be. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Council member Donegan. I see your hand up this time. Your
Thank you.
hand like blends in your color of your wall in the background, and I couldn't see it. There you go.
Because it's winter, I don't have my glowing Irish tan.
No, I mean the virtual hand that goes in the corner.
Okay.
It gets hidden next to your diploma.
Well, now that I'm totally off what I was going to say. The one thing that I would just suggest, and I guess I'll make a formal motion, is just to amend that wherever it says citizens, just make resident. So I'll offer that as a motion, and if there's a second, I'll explain why.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Councilmember Donegan, the floor is yours.
It's just, I think,
Discussing on the amendment only.
yeah, I just think we need to be intentional that, we're not only talking about citizens of Cranston, but that there are people that stand to benefit and need to benefit from these funds that are not citizens of Cranston by the legal definition, that are residents. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. We have a motion. We got a second on that motion. Any other discussion or questions on the motion only? Give a big wave if you don't fall out of line with the yellow hands. Director Moretti, do you have anything to add with the motion since you're the sponsor, or the mayor's office?
No, I support that. Not a problem at all.
No discussion on the amendment. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Sure, yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Council Member Vargas.
Oh, wait.
Wait, Councilmember Donegan, you still have the floor.
No, sorry. Councilwoman, I won't take up too much more time. One question is just, we're voting on this evening. Is there any reason why this isn't going to finance? I know it's not legally an appropriations ordinance, but the administration is more or less asking for us to approve a certain appropriation of the APRA funding. Is there any
Sure.
reason why it's not going, through finance committee where other appropriations are sent?
Yeah, I might be able to answer that. Obviously, as council president, I got the request to put this up for immediate consideration, as I get from some of council members from time to time. After speaking with legal counsel, I did give it the thumbs up to do it. We don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time to micromanage a lot of this. Certainly want to get the ball rolling. When we get the polling, if the polling gets approved and it gets done, obviously, it's up to the council to make a final decision. So again, it's just more data, and it's just more stuff that we can look at or try to see before we make any decisions. So I didn't think it hurt. I thought it helped, and that's why it's here in front of us today. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Yes, Council President. I mean, I respectfully, I'm not going to vote against this tonight because it's not going to finance. I do think that, in the future, things should go to finance. Things with less money have gone through that process, but that's fine. Your answer is, I completely understand. We're up against the clock here. I get it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Council. All right. I don't know whose hand was up first. Council Member Vargas.
Yes, thank you. I'll just lower my hand. Perfect. Actually, I should have added something to that motion and I won't, but I just realized that we should probably have done just not Cranston residents, but also probably business owners and stakeholders, but I'll leave it for like that for the, I guess for the time being. But I did have a question. So if the bid goes out and if, sorry, I'm just trying to make sure because I wrote down some of my questions on here. So it might be for Director Strom or Director Moretti. If the bid goes out with this resolution passes is at 25,000, but the bid comes back, the lowest bid comes at say 10,000, just to throw a number out there. Now that 10,000, does it have to then come before us as a council? And my assumption is yes, because if we do decide to use the ARPA money to then approve that 10,000, or is it automatically, are we automatically doing where it gets approved through the board and it comes at 10,000, 12,000, whatever the lowest bidder is, is it not coming back to the council at all? Because if we're using ARPA money, we should be able to approve every penny that comes out, right?
Yeah, I do think at some point we might need a spending ordinance to coincide with this resolution, but I know the RFP process had already started. I'll give that question to Director Strom for Councilmember Vargas.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be having the BOCAP meeting on February 1st, and we'll be sorting through the responses, and then we'll base it on what the price is. But we certainly want to award this to the lowest and most competitive bidder so we can get the ball rolling, because we do want to get this poll started so that we, so to speak, can coincide with what the council's doing also with their workshops. So we would have to do, I mean, if you're approving the resolution for a ceiling of 25,000, I don't know what the issue would be is if we get something that comes in at 10 or 15,000, which is less. So we could do something, I would hope, very quickly to get your approval on.
Yeah, I was just double checking. I didn't know if it goes out, even if it's low, as you said, does they have to then come back to us to kind of FY or approve whether a vote has to be taken or informational only as to the dollar amount.
Right. I just don't want to hold up the process just for especially if it's under what you're approving as a resolution. So I want, you know what I'm saying?
Nope, yeah, somewhat. But I did have another. What was that?
I don't want, I said from the technicality of the money that you've already, if you approve the resolution at 25 and it comes in at 10, we want to make sure that we can start the process so we can get these results in so that it can be reviewed by the administration and the council to make proper decisions for the ARP funds. And as I stated earlier, you're allowed 10% administrative costs. So we'll be more than under what the regulation states.
Okay. So I guess my thing is I can always request to obviously get an update, and we get all those emails as well as to what the settle amount for the bid came into, or what was chosen, obviously, and that's public meeting anyway on the 1st, but we can always bring it up to the council. Now, my other question, and Director, this might be either, well, actually, I think this might be more so for you. You had mentioned that there were 6 companies, I believe, that you already had, I think, in mind or so, for the RFP.
Yes, that's correct.
Just curious, how did you come up with those 6 companies? I'm looking for the RFP on our website and it's not on there. So how are we actually advertising the RFP? Or did I just not see it on our website?
The RFP was done in invitation to bid. Am I on mute right now?
No, I can hear you. Don't go F-bombing now on me.
We don't want a category 5 strum.
No, these were some recommendations by different professional people that gave us names of some of the polling companies. Some of them you probably are familiar with through political polls, but there are some others. Plus, we advertise now. The advertisement, I believe, was in the journal, but I would have to check with my purchasing agent to specify when it was posted, or if it's being posted. Let's see, it's due February 1st, so I would say it had to be advertised by now. So
Yeah. So
I'd have to get back to
Sorry.
you on the definite date.
Yeah, if you don't mind, listen, I don't, I'm not, I want a survey, whether it's a polling, to obviously be all inclusive.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not here to kind of say I'm against, you know, everything that's being proposed, but I also want to make sure that we are actually going to do it the right way. And if we have 6 companies that we kind of have in mind due to its reputation, the last thing that any one of us wants to hear, and I'm sure the administration too, is that the bid was awarded to someone who either did polling for one of our campaigns at all. And I want to really make sure that we are very neutral on how it goes, but I also want to follow the proper process for a bid. So when an RFP goes out, you know, we may have 6 companies that we have in mind, but realistically speaking, it should really be publicized. And in our website, we have a section on there where it actually does note requests for proposals. And when you're on there, it has a section where you add your name, your email, and your desired RFP. But not to get off topic, there's obviously, I mean, they're not going to know to put in, my desired RFP is going to be to poll the ARPA funding for the city of Cranston. So what I would recommend, if possible, given the fact that the deadline is February 1st, is if it's been posted on the journal, and I didn't know that this was already posted. A, I'd like to get a copy of the RFP if possible, and B, hope that we can actually post that on our city website under the request for proposal section, which is under the purchasing site, and allow that time to be for anyone to be bidding on it. I want to make sure we're very transparent with any RFPs that comes out of the city. And so while the journal, you know, is one of the sources where you can put that out there, we should probably, was it in the Cranston Herald as well?
I'm not sure. I don't think it was. We usually advertise in the Providence Journal.
Yeah. I have, so directors from, this is not you directly but it's just the process in general. I really think that RFP should be advertised on our website, and not just in the journal. I didn't even know the RFP was out yet. And I'm not against the resolution. I just want to make sure that we're doing everything the proper way on there, to make sure that we are all giving a transparent process on an RFP that goes out on behalf of the city.
The RFP specs were available January 12th, so I believe it was advertised at that time. I can check with Mr. Marchese tomorrow. I do have copies of the RFP here. Anytime someone wants to come in and look at an RFP, it's available. If an applicant wants to bid on it, also can pick up an RFP or ask that we send it to their email address or whatever. So, we're very transparent as far as whatever. If someone wants a copy, review it, review the bids when they come in. That's all public record, and it is available.
And when does the RFP close, sir? February 1st?
The due date is February 1st at 4:30 p.m. because that night at 5:30 we'll have a BOCAP meeting. And usually it's in the council chambers, but as you know now, most of it's on Zoom.
Correct.
That's
So,
open. Well,
okay, is it, can I respectfully ask that the RFP be posted on our website? If we have a section for it from between now and that February 1st period? Even though
Yes.
it's not gonna be aligned with the same amount of time that it's being posted on the, how long was, I mean, because we don't know how long it was posted in the Providence Journal, is that what you said?
Yes, I'd have to check on that. Usually what happens is when it's in the Providence Journal, and we get a copy of the journal, they cut it out and paste it to the RFP that was sent out. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I would highly recommend that.
if you can't seem to find it, what I can do is make sure, well, let me check with my
It's there.
purchasing people tomorrow.
Well,
Okay?
where is it on our website?
It's on, I'm sorry, can I
No, go ahead.
want to go out of order, but
You have a point of
on
information. Donna.
purchasing, point of information, or through the council president, however, I see it, purchasing, request for proposals, underneath it, it says RFP for qualified research firms to conduct polling to measure potential uses of federal funds received by the city from the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. Then I assume you click on the
Yeah, but there's no
button and
clicking.
put in your
click
info
on
to
it.
get the desired RFP. So
Yeah, but I can't see the, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be out of order, through the chair to Councilman Renzulli, but I don't see the actual RFP itself. I
I
can't read
think,
the RFP.
is that what you request? To my understanding, you would then click the button and put in that one that you're requesting. No?
I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking the director, like where is it? Is that?
I'd have to go on the system right now.
Okay. Either way, what I would request is if you don't mind just sending the RFP to us, would that be okay? Through the chair,
Absolutely.
through the clerk's office?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll send a copy to every council member. How's that?
That's perfect. I appreciate it, Director.
And I'll send one to you with a gold seal. How's that?
Even better. Even better. And
you.
delivered.
All right.
Through the chair, council president, I have one additional question to Director Moretti. Is this supposed to be, if you're talking about inclusive, is it going to be done in multiple languages? Is that part of the RFP?
Well, I don't even know if I saw the RFP. I saw it briefly. We leave that to the professionals in purchasing. With the poll being, we'll make sure it is bilingually available to the people that are the recipients of the poll. We'll make sure that that's the case.
The folks getting the phone call, right? Is that what you're saying?
As the RFP process, we took an abundance of caution, knowing that this is a highly scrutinized topic. So basically we asked the purchasing agent to play it by the book as he always does, and to make sure that this doesn't veer off one way or the other, to do it full compliance of what his protocols are, and not to be any different than anything else. So if I'm not sure if his RFPs all go out in multiple languages or
not the RFP itself. I'm sorry, Director. I'm talking about the poll. I apologize. The polls itself that would be conducted to.
We'll make sure that we'll follow up with that once once the bids come back. Yep. I'm sure that would be the case. You have our word on that.
Okay, I personally would have added that into the RFP if possible, but if we can definitely follow up on the multiple languages, at least English and obviously Spanish being the second most spoken in at least the city based on the census, at least the population, I should say, not spoken. And then that, is it only going to landlines? Is it going to cell phones? Is that the pollsters, I'm assuming, would be able to respond to that question?
Because we don't want to influence this, we're asking that the pollsters come back, and we've asked for, I believe, parameters to make to some level of accuracy, I believe within 5%. As to the exact methods, I believe the most common way, I've been told that the most common way is cell phones and a combination of cells and lands. People don't answer landlines nearly as much as cells. But whatever it is, we're looking for a level of accuracy in terms of the mannerism. We want whatever way that the polling firm determines is the best way to obtain the best data is the way that what we're looking for.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Renzulli.
Hi, I just wanted to say, I do think that when they do the polls, as far as I understand it, how they do it for other things, that they do call people until they hit the number to meet the right proportion for different demographics. That's how they're typically done. So I just wanted to know if that as a point of information, if it makes anyone feel better. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Renzulli. Any other questions on this topic before I call the roll? Councilmember Marino.
Thank you, to the Council President. A lot of my questions were answered. The time frame. I share the sentiment, the concern about normally it should go through finance, but I get the need to expedite it. So that's why I don't have an issue with that this evening. In terms of the data, Director Moretti, the raw data will be shared with us then at the end, not just the results.
Absolutely, sure. It's a public document. Happy to share with the council in any form you wish.
Yeah, I appreciate that. In a former life in college, one of my jobs of working my way through college was working for a polling company making calls. So I can appreciate the efforts involved and the importance of the data. So, and I just want to stress that, as I've said from the get-go, any form of public engagement, I am all on. And so I hope that this will be, yield a fruitful result. And I would be happy to be added as a co-sponsor as well. Thank you.
So I think for formality, I think please, we do welcome Councilwomen Renzulli and Marino as co-sponsors.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to co-sponsor right now while we're on the topic? Councilman Riley, Councilman Ferry, Councilman Donegan, Councilwoman Jermaine.
Whole council.
Does anybody not want to sponsor? Everybody wants to sponsor.
We don't want Richard.
Mr. Moretti, looks like you have the whole,
All are welcome, and thank you very much.
and I'll sponsor as well. Rose, everybody's on. Councilmember Jermaine. Councilmember Jermaine, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. My question, I'm not a lawyer, there is a lawyer here, so it's just I remember when we present a resolution, so is there a technicality about the language, like shall? So my question is that, would it be better to have it as an ordinance? Because from what I remember, a resolution is not binding. So it's a will. So I just want to make sure if the councilor can, because there is money, they shall authorize. So that's the word. The city council shall authorize. That for me, it's binding. I don't know if I'm correct, but that's the only question I have, because I know a resolution is a will we express. It's a expression. We're not binding. So that's, I don't know. So that I throw it there. So I would like to, if I'm not wrong or not, so that's my only reason. But I upload we need to get going, but that's the technicality of my question.
That's a great question, and I'll defer to legal, but I think there might be an ordinance coming down the road. The resolution is just because of the timing, but I'll defer to Attorney Angel or Attorney Videcchia. I see Attorney Angel unmuted.
It is appropriate in this instance to be followed later, as Director Strom had indicated earlier.
Thank you, Attorney Angel. Councilor Jermaine, is that good?
at the counselor speak. I'm not a counselor, so
All
I'm
right,
okay.
sounds good. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments on this before I call the roll? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll on the resolution as amended.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes. Can you not hear me? Yep. Yes.
I got Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, the resolution passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to seeing the results. Okay, moving on to back to report of committees on page 3. We have the Finance Committee. Council Vice President Robert Ferry, if you could introduce these.
Yes, good evening, everyone. First up, we have a resolution authorizing real estate tax abatements. This was approved in committee. I urge approval tonight. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to
Motion to
approve?
approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, next we have a resolution authorizing motor vehicle tax abatements. This was approved in committee. I urge approval tonight. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the motor vehicle tax abatements. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Motion passes.
Okay, next we have tax interest waiver approvals. They were approved in committee. I urge approval tonight. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, motion passes.
And last, we have tax interest waiver denials. They were this was approved in committee. I urge approval tonight. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Thank you very much. That concludes the report of committees. Moving on to public comment for undocketed items. This is the time. If anyone is on the call that would like to speak on an undocketed matter, raise your hand. If you are on the Zoom app on your computer.
Pauline DeRosa raised their hand briefly.
Okay, she raised her hand. Bring her on in, Tom.
Me?
Hi, Mr. Rosa, we can hear you. Just name and address for the record, please.
My name is Pauline DeRosa. I live at 97 Cypress Drive. I'd like to know if I'm permitted to address the topic of the ARPA funds directly at this point.
Sure, we do have an opera workshop on Thursday, if you'd
Yes,
like
I
to.
will be
address-
attending.
But if you feel free, if you have some brief comments and you want to give them now, you more than welcome to, or you can hold your comment until Thursday. It's up to you.
Thank you very much, Council President and council members. I am very pleased, first of all, that the city of Cranston is the recipient of over $42 million as part of its ARPA funds allocation. This is really a stunning amount of money. However, I do have some concerns and questions, and I hope that they will be taken into consideration. There will be many businesses and stakeholders who will want a share of this very large pie. What will be the criteria for receiving monies from the ARPA fund? Who will make the decision as to what request gets highest priority on the list? Will the city council be the only public body to oversee the spending of ARPA funds? To avoid improprieties, will there be monitoring in place after the funds have been allotted? Are there parameters on the amount of time in which this money is to be spent? After the public meetings are over and the public polling has been completed, will there be a comprehensive list of those who are slated to receive funds? And will the amount of those funds be revealed? There must be transparent, fair, and equitable distribution of the ARPA funds with bias towards none. The city of Cranston has a unique opportunity to do good for those in need within its boundaries. Projects must be included to address the homeless issue, the concerns of the elderly population, and affordable housing, which has clearly been addressed this evening. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosa. Okay, anybody else, Mr. Lima, with their hand up?
No further public comment.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Rosa, for your comments. I look forward to seeing you at the workshops. Moving on to election and or appointment of city officials. We have the Arts Commission, appointment of Abby Rondeau for a term to expire on January 24th, 2025, and she comes to us with as a recommendation from the chair of the Arts Commission. So I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, motion passes. We have the appointment of John Skorupski to the position of tree warden. I don't believe this is a reappointment. I think this is an appointment. It's here for informational purposes only. We don't have a vote on this. Director Moretti, do you have anything to add on this appointment?
Nope, no, I don't. I know he's done a good job. Other than that, we certainly would support him in this role.
All right, thank you very much. There's no vote anyways. I just wanted to touch base on that. Moving on to the Affordable Housing Commission, we have the appointment of Jason M. Case to fill the unexpired term of Jeffrey Barone. for the term to expire on February 22nd, 2024. This is a majority appointment, no vote to be taken. And this was sponsored by myself, and you all should have gotten a resume recently. So that concludes the appointment of city officials. Moving on to the report of city officers. We have none. Moving on to executive communications, we have the legal expense analysis. Are there any questions on the legal expense report? Councilmember Marino.
Thank you, Council President. If I could, through the Council President, I assume that our solicitor, City Solicitor Chris Millay, is probably the best suited to answer the couple of questions I have. One is, are we caught up for the end of 2021, or are there more anticipated bills for the 2021 year? That's the first question I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We are right now caught up on bills. I think there might be 2 or 3 very small invoices that are outstanding. But what you see in front of you is pretty much where we stand legally for expense.
And then my other question is yard works. When are we anticipating a bill for that?
I can't speak as to when we're anticipating a bill. I mean, I could certainly reach out to council on that matter. Mr. Verdecchia has been handling it on behalf of the city. So I will certainly speak to Mr. Verdecchia and circle back. But as far as billing, I can't speak to that anticipated billing.
I'm here, Chris, and Councilwoman Marino. What I've done is, as you know, I've been working on that case for a while. I have not submitted any bills on that yet. I usually wait till the end of the case before I submit a bill, rather than submit, a bunch of bills. But I'll talk that over with Chris. However, he prefers me to do it. Also, Director Strom. However they prefer me to do it, I'll do it. Usually, I wait till the end. That's just my own practice.
It's all the questions I got tonight. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Any other questions on the legal expense report?
Yeah, Councilman, President Papadakis, I just wanted to make a comment on the legal bills.
Okay, the floor is yours, sir.
I want to address this to Councilwoman Marino. When we did our audit, and by the way, you should have received, I left them in the city clerk's office. There's hard copy audits reports from our auditors, Markham. We closed out fiscal year 21 with all legal expenses, and we even had some discussion on any contingencies that may occur going forward. And at this point, we're right up to date. And I have to say our legal expenses to date are probably running better than they have in many years. So we're doing pretty well regarding outside attorneys at this point.
Thank you,
Thank
Director.
you.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions on the legal expense? There being none, we'll move on. Director Moretti, the floor is yours on Deputy Chief.
Yeah, thank you. For all of you who do know Deputy Chief Lawrence Karen, he's been with the fire department for 30 plus years. Terrific person, terrific servant for the city. Very much merits a happy, healthy, and fruitful retirement. With that, we ask that he be placed on the pension rolls, and we wish him much success in his retirement.
Thank you, Director Moretti. I'll entertain a motion to place Deputy Chief Lawrence Karen Jr. on pension.
A motion to place Deputy Chief Karen on pension.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Director Moretti, if we vote no, does he have to stay?
That is correct, and that'd be perfectly fine if he did.
Sure would, but I don't think he'd be too happy. All right, any other questions or comments? There being none, we just like to wish Deputy Chief a great retirement on behalf of the entire City Council. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving on to Council President Communications. I have a couple of bullet points on there, but before I get into that, I just want to say that we had a few tough issues tonight with the resolution and the trolley barn ordinance. And I just want to say that the council worked through the issues, asked a lot of great questions, worked as a team and came to some conclusions and some votes. And I just want to say that I'm proud of the council for the work that you've all been doing for the last year. So thank you all for everything. Moving on now from that, we have the City Council workshops to be held on January 27th and February 10th, 6 p.m. The January 27th meeting will be on Zoom. The February 10th is still up in the air with the governor's executive order. I think it expires on February 3rd. So we'll see if he re-signs it or not. Public comment is welcome and encouraged. My second bullet point on here is an update from the administration or the legal department on the opioid litigation settlement. I think that's been going on for 3 or 4 years now. I saw something in the news today that there might be a press conference tomorrow, but just looking for an update on that. Not sure what you can say or can't say regarding it.
So, Council President, this is Solicitor Badecki. I did have a discussion with Solicitor Malay about this, and you're correct. There is going to be an announcement, I believe, tomorrow out of the Attorney General's Department. Everything is close, extremely close to resolution. Nothing, however, is completely finalized. So we would prefer, if we could, it would be okay to defer until tomorrow and wait and see what the Attorney General announces. And I think at that point, we'll have the answers for you.
Yeah, that's great. When I asked to put this on the docket, I wasn't aware of any press conference. I saw it on Twitter earlier today. If just keep the council apprised on that, if you need us to call an executive session or have a meeting to discuss it, I'm certainly happy to do that. Director Moretti?
Absolutely.
Just to embellish Solicitor Verdecki's comments, we received a media, this afternoon, the mayor's office received a media advisory referencing a press conference. Basically, it's very quickly, it says state and local officials to announce update in Rhode Island's opioids litigation, whereas Attorney General Nerona, Governor McKee, Senate President Ruggiero, Speaker Shikachi, and they say town officials. Apparently Cranston's not participating. I don't think we've been invited to it. To announce funding recovered from opioid distributors that will be used to address Rhode Island's opioid crisis. As the solicitor mentioned, it will be at the Attorney General's office in Providence. Just to let you know, though, it is at 10:30 tomorrow morning for anyone interested.
Okay. Councilmember Marino, I see your hand up. Do you?
Thank you. Yeah. Just a couple things. Director Moretti, you may be right. I didn't see the press release. They're definitely in Providence and not off of Pontiac Ave.
Yeah, so we're Office of the Attorney General, 150 South Main Street, Providence, first floor conference room.
Okay. And then the other suggestion I had, I defer to Council President. This is your agenda item, but perhaps with the new information coming down the pike as soon as tomorrow, for us as a body, perhaps if this could get added to the finance agenda and we could get an update at that time, since that's going to be coming up around the corner.
Yeah, that'd be great. Madam Clerk, could you put that on the list for the Finance Committee? I don't know how much I can say. I know back a few years ago when we went into entering into some of this stuff, it was a pretty big number. So I'm hoping that the press conference is good tomorrow and has good news for the city. So anything else? Any other questions or comments on that?
Council President, I'd be happy to update the members after the announcement tomorrow.
Excellent. Great, thank you so much. And then the last item I have on here is a request from Director Strom. He wanted to give us an update regarding the ice rink and possible opera funds. So I kind of made this vague. Director Strom, the floor is yours.
No, thank you, Council President. When we did the budget back last year, we put aside over, it was $415,000 for loss of revenue for the ice rink with the use of ARPA funds. And that was approved. It's on page 23 of the budget, and it's under ice rink. And at this point in time, because since March of 20 and going forward, with the ice rink being shut down based on the governor's proclamation that not to have public venues like that open, we lost quite a bit of money in revenue. We lost money in rentals that we rent out the facility as an example, Bennett Sports Shop. We lost money in the concession stand that we have there as well. So at this point in time, that was an estimate at that time of $415,000. What I want to do now is draw from the ARPA funds from March of 20 going forward right up to date. It comes out to $214,445. By doing that, it'll restore the revenues and it'll restore the income that's necessary for the ice rink because at this point in time they are running in a deficit manner due to these shutdowns. So this would really reinstate them and also give us some working capital to do some minor repairs to the facility. As you know, it's 50 years old. We've sustained it very well over the last 5 to 10 years on our own, and we want to maintain it as best we can by using some of this loss of revenue of the ARPA funds. So that's why it's been approved by ordinance, by the budget, and I'm just bringing this before you as an FYI that's what my intent is to do. Not with all of it, but just a portion of it, which is $214,445.
You're just giving us an update on money that we already authorized.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that from anyone? To Director Strom. There being none, I will close Council President Communications. Thank you, Director. Moving on to Council Member Communications. Council Member Donegan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. I'm not sure if this would be for finance or econ development or for you, Director Moretti. I know we met earlier in the year about the proposed partnership with Providence Work Convention and Visitors Bureau on the partnership that they had offered the city for 2 years to kind of build out a Go Cranston webpage and web presence and organize a Cranston Restaurant Week. It seemed like everyone was in agreement that it seemed like a good partnership. I hadn't heard back from my most recent email, so just wanted to get an update on how we're doing with executing that agreement and getting it going.
Yeah, sure thing, through the chair. Councilman, just continuing that. I think this might be, because we don't have the money budgeted, I think maybe we all can see to it that we include it as part of the utilizing the ARPA funds as a great candidate for utilizing the ARPA funds, because it's a kind of a one-off nature, and as you all know that the ARPA funds are trying to target the hardest hit hospitality industry. So I think that might be a good suggestion, and certainly have to go through the formality of the process. But yeah, certainly in agreement with you. The Councilman, help me with this. I was searching the emails. I didn't see a proposed agreement unless I'm missing something. If there is something, if not, we can follow up together. But I think to answer your question, the administration does support this as you, in fact, so we're seeing, I think we all like to see that happen, but if you feel the ARPA funds may be a nice candidate to propose, that might be the way to go.
Well, I would assume, well, I guess that's great. And I know that the administration has been supportive of this, just trying to get it over the finish line, in collaboration with everyone. We don't need any funding for this year because it's out of the 2-year plan that they have presented us with. And I think you're right. I don't think they formally sent, sign here, a document of that nature. I think legal need to get together and sort that out. But based on their presentation, the first year would be free. The second year would be $10,000. So I don't know if we even need money, right now to get that partnership up and going. I would hate to see for us to have to wait until July to get that partnership when we could get it started. Hopefully, as soon as legal can.
Okay, without objection, we can initiate the discussions for a contract. The only thing I'm not sure, I have to kind of defer to legal here. Yes, the first year is free, but if we're obligated for the year 2, do we need authorization, or we can just play it out? So before we sign, do we need council authorization because it does affect the second year, or are we free to go? Maybe I'll defer that to one of the solicitors or the Mr. Angel that's on the line.
A great question.
Tony, I would have to see the specific document too.
So if it's of the nature to say there's an agreement to perform services as the councilman described, that the first year is free of charge and the second year, frankly, was, I believe, $10,000. That's kind of the gist of it. Can we proceed to draft, review, execute a document like that? Do you believe, or do we have to go to the council first for approval?
No, I would suggest that if it's 3-year contract, to go whether or not it's 10,000. Is that the question you're asking, Mr.?
Yeah, the connections, I couldn't understand. The connection from my end is really bad. I don't know if anyone else heard that could help out.
Well, Director, this is John Badecki, right? Steve was breaking up with me as well. I think what he was saying is, it depends how we draft the document. That's why I think he said that we need to see that. If it's going to be sort of a multi-year agreement, at least my opinion is, I don't think we'd have to come back to the council every year. It could be a one-shot where it's approved, but it's hard to say without seeing the precise document. I mean, this is the first I'm hearing about it, and I haven't seen anything. So I think that's what Steve was trying to say, but he was breaking up with me as well.
Okay, Councilman Donegan, how if we say this? Let's try taking it on, that it's not going to hurt anything to get going on the agreement, and it'll probably take a little while anyway. And in the meantime, we could try to get the answer to that.
That's great.
Very good.
Thank you, Councilmember Donegan. Councilmember Renzulli, did you have something to add with this? I still think I saw.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the documents that John's talking about, if you perhaps an idea would be to write them separately by the year, so the free one we could sign without authorizing it through the council because it's free, and then later authorize the $10,000. Just an idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Great. Councilmember Donegan, does that conclude your?
I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Director Moretti. And thank you, Councilwoman.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Jermaine, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Director Perry is here. Thank you, Director Perry, for coming this evening. My condolences for your loss. And I have some question about the diversity committee, and I have many residents that really cares about seeing this diversity established in our city, in our government. So they asking me a lot of questions, and we know since last year we have an ordinance that is passed, and now we going for a year, so we haven't heard anything, and there is a lot of things that could be done, for this year, as we want to make sure that we not only talk about diversity, talk about inclusion, but our action reflect our talking. So I would like to hear from you. What are the barriers you have? What the causes that nothing had been done yet? So
Sure.
if
So
anywhere, how we can help you, what we can do to help you. So we would really.
There's no issues as of right now. So the ordinance was passed April 26th. The mayor vetoed it May 7th. The council overrode his veto May 24th. So that established the commission as of May 24th. The first member wasn't appointed to August 23rd. The next two members were appointed September 27th. And the last council member appointment was October 25th. So there were no members to meet prior to that. So the only person I'm still waiting for is one Cranston to appoint their last member. So Mr. Vincent is representing NAACP. Chief Warren's going to represent fire. Major Catalano is going to represent the police department. So I'm just waiting for one Cranston. So the plan now is to have a meeting in February.
Thank you so much. So now we know why we haven't have anything done yet. So and I can report that to the constituent that keep asking me the same question. Hey, what do we do for diversity? What do we do? And we know we have the commission that is been working on to be in place. So I will report, but thank you for this information.
You're welcome. Yeah, the city definitely wants to move forward with it. Obviously, from the first diversity commission that Mayor Hopkins and Councilwoman Vargas were on, there were some initiatives put in place regarding hiring. Hiring was the biggest focus of the last commission for police and fire, and we're able to accomplish that. We just hired 5 minority firefighters in the last class of 15, which is the first in the city of Cranston. So the last commission was definitely very successful upon getting the recommendation out to the administration, to the fire department, and to the fire union, where we're able to work together to get rid of that C requirement in order to put an application in. That was definitely a recognized hindrance to moving forward and diversifying the ranks. So in removing that C that the last commission really pushed for, along with Mayor Fung's support and Mayor Hopkins' support, we were able to do that. And right now, like I said, we have 5 minority firefighters that are amongst the ranks. So I'm looking forward to this year's initiatives. We're going to see what the new members bring to the table. I know the mayor would really like to see some more training. I know a couple of years ago, we had that training over at the library with the Allen Foundation. Obviously, things like that cost a lot of money, and the city has 625 employees. So we got to kind of pick and choose who we want to focus on when it comes to training. But I know that's definitely a focus for Mayor Hopkins.
Thank you. So I also, we were able to find $10,000 in the last budget for the diversity committee. I don't know, that's maybe a question for the finance. I don't know if there will be a possibility to use that money this year.
Okay.
And my hope is we can allocate this money every budget. We know we have a money, maybe we can, and this $10,000 is nothing. And when we tell contact, when it comes to training. So, and I know, as you mentioned, we need a lot of training. So education is key, and I believe in that. So anybody, when you learn something, you know, you improve the way you see things. So in order to attain those objectives, those goals, to have a more inclusive, diverse in our action. So it's not, we are a really diverse city. So now we need to show those diversity in everything we're doing in our department. So thank you for this information. Fire that has none before. There was no minority in fire department, and that's really a good news. Thank you. I remember I had a conversation with fire chief and the day of his swearing in, and he promised that there's gonna be some changes, and we can see that. And I commend you for that. So we know we have $10,000 already available, so we can. That's a start off. And I think the council will agree to increase that for next budget.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director, and thank you, Councilmember Jermaine. Thank you very much. Moving on to Councilmember Vargas.
Thank you. So there are, I'm just making sure I have my notes in front of me. I just wanted to make an announcement. The West Bay Land Trust, which is, has, let me backtrack. Former council member Psychos had sent an email out to the newsletter that he tends to send out. And so I was recipient of one of the members that received that email. And part of that is just that they want to actually promote that the West Bay Land Trust is pretty much starting their spring campaign once again on the free trees. And so they're asking us to pretty much kind of publicize that. I believe that it's on our website already, but it has 2019, and to the administration, we're hoping we can actually update that on our website to 2022. The information on there as far as the phone number is still correct. It's still the current number for the West Bay Land Trust. So again, just kind of putting out there the tree planting program, that it's available if anyone so wishes to have a tree, and there's definitely a process that goes with that. So I sent him an email just letting him know that I helped put the word out there. Secondly, I've been getting a couple of phone calls from the nearby residents where the friendly park is. And so the part of the update is just to, for the record purpose and for everyone as well, is just to let them know that we are continually working on a grant. Unfortunately, not through the state of Rhode Island, but through other avenues that do fit this type of grant that we're looking for the facelift of Friendly Park. I did want to ask the administration, I believe there is a letter that a grant writer is waiting for, unless it's already been sent over, that would eventually be sent over to the state in regards to the agreement of that land. Any idea if that's been sent down already?
Yeah, sure thing. Director Desai mentioned, followed up with him today to say that everything requested by our grant writer has been submitted to her. So I think we're clear from this end.
Okay, great. And that was pretty much the only two stuff I think that I had there on the docket. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vargas. That concludes council member communications. Moving on to council business matters carried over. There are none. We have introduction of new matters before the council. Just want to note a couple of Scrivener's errors before we move forward. On the agenda that originally came out on 1/22/01, the date was wrong. It is fixed, but please note that the date is 2/7/22. And in the claims referred, Stephen Quartino. That claim has already been addressed in early of 2021, so that is a scrivener's error on there as well. So I'll entertain a motion to send all of the new business to the proper committee.
Second.
So moved.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There be none. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas. Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, please note under miscellaneous business, the calendars are listed for city council and committee meetings and also for the municipal court schedule. This is for informational purposes only. No votes to be taken, just note that. And that being said, that concludes the business of this evening. I look forward to seeing everyone Thursday at the first opera workshop. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Any opposed? There are no opposition. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.